For the local one, it says that it features an adorable golden retriever puppy, and for the UI one, features an adorable kitten with a fluffy coat. First answer provide you an annotation. So inside the value, it says that the publication is actually February 20. And then for the question number 2, we see that there is no annotation. Welcome everyone to the channel, AI Fun Fact for All. For those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Pedro Magan. I have a PhD in computer science, and in this channel we talk about AI and machine learning and how we can use it in order to improve our efficiency. In this video, I'm going to talk about how we can use OpenAI API in order to do chatting, asking about images, and also asking about a PDF. We'll go over the code together, and I will share the link of this code inside the GitHub so you can work on it yourself. For this to work, you definitely need to have an OpenAI API, which is actually pretty much very cheap. So you can get it like with around like $2 or so, and then you can basically try your first application. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first one that we want to cover is basically the simple chat. This is the one that you can also do inside the UI that ChatGPT has, but the difference is that this one you can do it inside your app, and you can basically access and do a little bit of modification inside. Now let's take a look at the code together. Inside the file we have .venv, that's your virtual environment that keep track of all of your packages that you need. So I put a requirement.txt in here, so if you need what are the packages that you need, you can install them. And then you have .env, that's where you put your OpenAI key in there. And then we have three files: the chat, this is the one that we want to cover, and then we have file OpenAI, that's work with the file, and the images. And I put an image in here and also a PDF file that we will go over together. So inside the first one, what we'll see is that we import the OpenAI. We use the .env to load the OpenAI key because this is something that you don't want to share. That's why you put it inside your .venv file, and then this basically load it. And the OpenAI API key is where you actually put your the name of the API key that you save it. And here we create a very simple chat with assistant. So how you do is that you use the OpenAI.chat.completion.create. There is a chat completion together, which was for the previous OpenAI version. The newest one are working like this, and then you pass the model name that you want, and then your message. Your message includes the role, which is in the beginning, is your system prompt. That's where you provide that what you are. So in here, I said that you are an open source assistant, and whenever you want to answer, you will put it in this format, open source agent. So we will see that how this result can be, and how you can basically change the style of your response. And then we have the role, user, and content. This is the user message, and then inside the response, the choices, the first one, and then the messages and the content, and we'll return it. So I'm going to use GPT for all meaning here, and the question is, what is AI? I run this code together, and if you run, we can see that the answer starts with open source agent, and then it provides the response that AI is blah blah blah. So let me know in the comments if you want to add some other components to it, for example the patience, and then for example the maximum token and so on. So these are the so many things that you can basically define in here. That's basically as easy as in here you can define, for example, what do you want your for example top P temperature to be. These are basically the other parameters that you can change. If you want something deterministic, you can do this, and then it will change the response in the way that you want. You can also decide your maximum token, and so the maximum token will decide that what is the maximum length, and it will help you in terms of the cost. On the next one, we want to take a look at the images. So we have two types of images: either they are locally stored or they are actually stored in the internet. So I will talk about both. For the locally saved, you need the base64 to basically convert them to that format, and then basically provide it. So the same format is in here. You get the API key from the .env, and you create your client. This is the function that we need in here, the encode image to base64. That's the one that converts your images to a base64 content. That's kind of like it's like a base load, which basically payload your contents into a UTF-8 type that can be something like a string, and then OpenAI can read from it. Inside the described image, we're gonna say two options. So if we have the URL, then we're gonna directly get and put the content to the URL. So directly it will read the URL and do the operation for it. But if it is a local one, we need to encode it. As we mentioned, you encode and then give the content in the form of data, images, and then JPEG base 64. That's where your file will be stored when you send the file. So here the response, again, same as before, client chat completion, the model, and then messages. Inside the message, you provide your role as user. Again, same as before, you can also create another role as system, and you provide the system before. So we want to make it simple in here. And the content, inside the content, I have provide two. So the first one is the text type, which we provide the prompt. And the second one is basically the image URL. So the image URL is basically has a URL and the content. So pay attention to the difference, like dictionary files and the content in here. It's a little bit tricky for OpenAI, so to make sure that you exactly follow this. So you have time. It's kind of, to be honest, a little bit repetitive, but that's what they prefer to do. And then here, for example, I mentioned the maximum token. You can also mention, as you said, like you can decide the temperature and so many other things. And again, same as before, video in here. I get the model GPT-4o mini image URL. This is the image, and you can basically click on it. It's basically a picture of a cat, and then a path, which is a local path, a picture of a dog in here. So I created two descriptions. The first one, I provide a path and said that to describe this image. And then on the second one, I provide a URL and said, again, describe this image. So if you run it, for the local one, it says that a feature adorable golden retriever puppy. And then for the URL, features an adorable kitten with a fluffy coat. Last but not least is when you want to chat with a PDF. So there are basically two approaches in here. You can do it like a LangChain type of format. You can also do basically with the ChatGPT format. So LangChain is a little bit different, so we're not gonna go over that. That's basically when you create your PDF and then provide the relevant content to it and append it to your message and provide the response. So that's basically include the retriever and so on. So we already have talked about that previously. I put the link for the video so you can watch. But then the other approach is using solely the native OpenAI. And OpenAI actually have two options in here. You can either upload as a data, or you can use the assistants. So basically, the data is a little bit trickier. You same as the same idea as you upload an image. You can basically do that, but it's a little bit trickier and it's not the suggested approach. So the suggested approach is to using the assistance of the ChatGPT itself. So this one will help the content to be persistent across multiple interactions, and it's basically very helpful on creating, for example, long interactions. So let's take a look at this one. This one a little bit trickier. The things same as before, and we create a client. So we have in here, we have something called upload a file. So you upload a file with your client, and it will basically provide you a file response, and you want to save the file response ID. So you upload it, and it's somewhere inside your client have access to it, but you basically need to have your ID. So let's assume that right now you have that file, and this file can actually be a PDF, can be an image, or anything else. But why we didn't use the same file for the image? Because image is like a smaller size, but PDF can actually be very large, and you cannot use the base64 to load that. So the second thing is basically creating an assistant. So assistant is also like a client, but with a specific system prompt and a specific tools that it has access to. So here we defined the tools that it has, which is basically the type search, the file search. Type of it is file search. So we create a client.beta. This is a beta version. So a new version of the OpenAI API, and then we do that create. So we provide a name for it, the instruction that it needs to follow, the model that it wants to have, and the tools that it has access to. And later we're gonna return the ID of the assistant. So instruction is so that you help answer the question based on the content provided in the PDF. So general response. So in here we also have the assistant ID. And have access to some tools. But now the response that we want to create is basically from a thread. So we need to create a thread to basically send the questions by using one of these assistants. So how it works in here, it get the assistant ID and file ID and the question. So these two things will get together. So we create a thread, and then inside the thread, client train.message.create, we give the thread ID, we give it the role. So in here is a user because the system already was defined, and then we provide the content, and then we provide attachment. So the attachment is something that right now I want to give access to it, and as long as we are inside this thread, it has access to it. And so it's not a one-off thing. The thread, as long as we are inside this thread ID, we have access to the conversation history, and we also have access to whatever attachment we have provided. And so this is also very important to take a look at how we define this. Basically, you inside the attachment, you have a file ID. That's basically the ID file that you created, and then you have the tools associated with it. And it is very important to provide the tools, which is basically type of file search. With this file ID, you want to enable the file search. That's basically the idea behind that. So this is also very important to take note. And here you can see the attachment can be a list, so you can put multiple basically file, and each file can have different basically tool associated with it. For example, you can do file search with something. You can do, for example, retriever, and so on. And then you create a runtime, which is basically your thread.run, and you pass this thing, and then it will run asynchronously. So what you need to do is that you can have multiple of these threads run at the same time. And there's also a good idea if you have you don't want to block your run, you want to basically run them multiple times. So as long as the status is queued or in progress, you want to wait. But when it will become available, then you're gonna say that okay, retrieve the basically the client run thread, and you provide the run ID and then the thread ID. And whenever you get that, you can basically do the list to get the messages, and then from the messages data, you're gonna look at the assistance and then message.content. So this might seem a little bit trickier, but the whole idea is that as long as you have this thread, it is going to be consistently there. So I provided this observatory here, and two types of questions. The first one is when this one was published. So this is something that is all actually in here. So it is from the file. And as you can see in here, we have the time that it was published, so February 24th. And then I've also asked about what's the price of platinum package in our store. So we actually don't have that. Now we want to see whether it will hallucinate or not. So the whole point of having this sort of content is that we don't want this to do that. So we upload the file. This is the PDF, and then we actually create the one assistant ID, and we're going to ask multiple questions from it. And then here we see the answer to different questions. Let's run this. This one will take a little bit longer because of the tool calling and so many other things, and also because of the wait time that you put. But the whole point is that it would be asynchronous, so it wouldn't block anything. You can run multiple things and then wait for the response, and whenever it come back, you can get it. There should be a callback as well. Let me know in the comments if there is. First answer is that it provides you an annotation. So this is where it finds that, and then inside the value it says that the publication is actually February 24th, which is correct. And then for the question number 2, you see that there is no annotation, and basically inside the value it says that it was not able to find. This is basically is very powerful tool to make this available. I put all of the link for this code inside the GitHub in the description, in the comments. You check it out and let me know what you think. And there you have it, guys. We went over 3 different use cases of OpenAI chat, which was the simple chat completion. The second one was to ask about an image, and then the last one was to ask about a larger file such as PDF and how we can use it with threads. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to like, and more importantly, subscribe to the channel, and you can get the link of all of this content and code inside the description of the video, so check it out. If you want to see more videos like this, you can watch this that I talk about 5 different AI tools that has changed my life, so you can take a look at them, or you can watch this one that I talk about Llama and Stack and go over the code there, how we can use something like a LangChain type to interact with an agentic sense. Thanks for watching, and see you until the next one.